Good evening, everybody across the nation, around the world, wherever you may be. This is the NECA King, and today we are in the halls of the NECA King. Yes, in the halls of the NECA King, a little sideshow that I do where I go into my record collection, we pull stuff out, and I talk about an artist that I love, okay? And in this episode, we are doing the Prince of Darkness himself, Ozzy Osbourne. I'm going to make this one quick. Not a lot of fancy editing. I'm a little sick, and I've got a lot of shit to do. If I actually want to release $10,000 Shelf on Juneteenth, I have got to get through this fucking next couple of episodes and just film $10,000 Shelf. I have not filmed anything for $10,000 Shelf, and it's supposed to be out in 2 weeks, and I'm terrified. Anyway, so I'll go through my story with Ozzy real quick. I mean, I talked about it a bit in the Black Sabbath episode from a couple years ago when I did season 1 of In the Halls of the NECA King. I got into Black Sabbath when I was in my teenage years. The butcher shop that I worked at had a lot of like older, grizzled butcher guys who listened to a lot of 80s metal and stuff like that, 70s heavy metal. And I got into Ozzy and Black Sabbath through that, kind of in parallel at the same time. Ozzy first and then Black Sabbath. But, you know, very typical American kid. You know, there's no great story behind it. I heard fucking Crazy Train and it was awesome. That's kind of how it goes, you know, and then you get the greatest hits CD and then you're off to the races. So Ozzy became kind of my main inspiration as a like frontman singer and like head of a band. And I always wanted to be Ozzy, like when I was up on stage in my band rocking out. And, you know, Ozzy's solo stuff has a real different vibe than Black Sabbath stuff, and I'm going to go through album by album and talk about it. So obviously, Ozzy's first album here is Blizzard of Oz. This was his first solo record away from Black Sabbath. This is when Sharon Osbourne basically peeled him off the fucking floor of the hotel room and was like, you're not allowed to drink yourself to death. You've got to go become a worldwide superstar. And I remember listening to this when I was a teenager and being blown away. It was just a different sound than anything I'd heard before. I grew up on rap, and, you know, like the most rock and roll kind of shit that I got growing up was like the alternative rock that was on MTV. So listening to something like this that was like truly dark and spooky, but at the same time had this like, you know, Randy Rhoads brings that vibe of just like a trained musician. This isn't just a bunch of hacks playing spooky shit. It's, you know, it's not Halloween. It's not fucking Grim Reaper. It's true musicians, like at the height of their power. And, you know, this is the one that has Crazy Train and Goodbye to Romance and everything, and the famous Suicide Solution that he got sued for and everything. And everybody knows it. It's a great album. It's a classic album. It's not his best, I don't think, but it is... and it's unstoppable. This is actually my son's copy. My son loves Ozzy Osbourne, and I bought this for him for Christmas a couple of years ago. Speaking of the devil, this is a collection of covers of Black Sabbath songs. I guess the record company wanted like a live album. There was this like competing thing going on at the time. Like after Ozzy left Sabbath, Sabbath was in competition with Ozzy, and their record companies both wanted him to release like live albums. And this is, you know, they put together, I guess the story behind this record is pretty crazy. They put together like this band of, it's Brad Gillis, Rudy Starzo, and Tommy Aldridge on the drums. And this band was like put together at the last minute to do basically a fake series of shows that they were going to pull like a concert recording from, even though it wasn't a real concert. It was just like, it was like literally like a fabricated session to make a fake live album. And apparently Ozzy's like not performing during this. He's like off to the side with a microphone, like trying to get the vocal takes and everything off to the side of the stage. So it's really weird. Look into the story of this album. I don't know it perfectly off the top of my head, but in the record industry, in the like fabricated sense of being in the record industry, this is like the perfect example of like a record industry fabrication. Like we need a live album. We're literally going to put on a fake concert to capture it. And I guess the band like didn't even fucking know the songs. They just kind of like winged it, and they kind of like held on for dear life. The story of this album is great. Get on Wikipedia and read the story of Speak of the Devil by Ozzy, because it was such a shit show. But it's actually not a bad live album, but it's really not the best either. Then you got Diary of a Madman. This album, you know, I hold this album on the same level as Blizzard of Oz. They're almost like companion pieces. They're almost like disc 1 and 2 of the same album. It's the same personnel. It's Ozzy, it's Randy Rhoads, and it's just like a continuation of Blizzard of Oz. I really hold them kind of in the same esteem. All right, so then we get to Bark at the Moon, which is first album with Jake E. Lee. Randy Rhoads is dead. This is not a great album. Like I love Bark at the Moon, and yeah, Bark at the Moon. You're no different. Now you see it. Now you don't. Rock and Roll Rebel. It's just kind of like it sounds great, and it sounds great, but it sucks. Like the songs kind of suck. You know what I mean? Bark at the Moon's fucking killer, and Jake E. Lee really doesn't get the credit that he gets for being an amazing guitarist, because it's like you step into Randy Rhoads' shoes and like, what are you gonna do? You just got to do your best, but Jake E. Lee at his worst is better than most guitarists. So it kind of sucks that he doesn't get his dues. And especially on this, which is like Ozzy. Apparently Ozzy's like a redheaded stepchild album. Like he doesn't like this album. The estate doesn't like this album. I like that. I kind of honestly like this album more than I like Bark at the Moon. I mean, Bark at the Moon's got killer tracks on it, but this album like sounds better. It's got a better vibe, you know what I mean? Bark at the Moon is 80s and cheesy as fuck, dude. It is down into the center of eternity. You can see Ozzy going like, ah, you know what I mean? Like Bark at the Moon's a little cheesy. And then this album is just fucking, it's not as cheesy, it's fucking killer, I think. Killer of Giants. But for some reason, Ozzy's estate doesn't like this. I don't think it's been reissued. They kind of don't consider it part of the catalog. Dude, that's fucking stupid. This album rules. I think this album is better than Bark at the Moon. I don't understand what the hate is. And then we have maybe my favorite Ozzy album that I own on record. I think that No More Tears is his best album, but this is the best one that I own. This is the first one with Zakk Wylde. No Rest for the Wicked. I love the cover. The cover is so cool with it. I think one of those kids is his actual, I think one of them's Kelly. One of those kids is his actual kid. But just such a creepy album. And just, there aren't any skips on this, dude. It's, maybe Tattoo Dancer, but, Crazy Babies is kind of a shitty song, but it's not though. It's like, even though it's like a cheesy song, Crazy Babies, like it still is like, this album's heavy as shit. And I think that Zakk Wylde carries a lot of that because his guitar tone is just so perfect. Zakk Wylde's not my favorite guitarist. He's an amazing guitarist, but his tone is up there with some of my favorites. He knows how to make that guitar sound, you know? And this album just fucking, from the moment it starts until the end, just sizzles, dude. Like, it's a really great album. Looking for a Miracle Man. Like, that's one of Ozzy's best songs. Just the energy from beginning to end on this album is, I like it the best. I think No More Tears is a better album, but it has more peaks and valleys. This is just kind of like, I don't know. There's a couple slower songs on No More Tears. And like, as far as a heavy metal album goes, I think this one's a little heavier, but No More Tears is the better album. And then we come to the last one that I have. I don't have anything past this. There are Ozzy albums pressed on vinyl past this, but I don't own them. And now I'm in my dotage, and records have all become, look, see the sticker on this? $6. I bought this record for $6 20 years ago. And now you probably are going to spend $60 on it because records are just so fucking expensive. I love the blurb on the back of it. By the way, this is Just Say Ozzy. This is another like fabricated live album, but this one's actually better, and it's got stuff from later on in his career. It's like Speak of the Devils is all Black Sabbath stuff, and this is all Ozzy stuff. Oh no, they do Sweet Leaf and War Pigs. But the other cool thing is that Geezer Butler's on here. So they have Geezer Butler, Randy Castillo, and Zakk Wylde. Great band. Pretty good live album. It's not the best, but it's really good. But the blurb on the back is what I love. And I always read it, and there's a little note from Ozzy on the back about how this isn't just another live album that the record company made me do. I really like these versions of these songs. But hold on, because I always read it, and in my head, I always read it in Ozzy's accent. When the record company came with this EP idea, my first thought was, oh no, not another version of old Sabbath songs with a couple of mine thrown in. But when I started to listen to all the shows we played on my last tour, my thoughts changed. Firstly, Shot in the Dark, I'm happier with this version than the original. Secondly, the Sabbath songs, to have recorded them one last time with Geezer, Butler, Zach, and Randy, says it all for me. It's a chapter of my musical career I can now close. God bless. Such fucking bullshit. You know, like, I love Ozzy, but he knew how to play the game. He was in the entertainment industry just like everybody else. You know, they came to him and was like, Ozzy, they said the exact same, they said probably exactly what he wrote here. Another version of old Sabbath songs with a couple of yours thrown in. I love that little blurb because it's like, it's almost like Streisand effect. Like you would have never even thought of it except that he like wrote it here. Like, oh wait, yeah, this is just another like fucking cast off live album. It's only 6 tracks. You know what I mean? It's not like it's a fucking double album or something. But anyway, I really like this guy. This is, I was tempted to sell this after he died because this one was going for some cash, but I'm not selling this. I'm not selling my fucking Ozzy records, dude. So yeah, this is my little tiny Ozzy collection. What is it? 7 records? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I mean, I don't have all of his records. If you combine it with my Black Sabbath collection, it's pretty extensive. But yeah, I mean, as many Ozzy records as I have, I don't have anything past No Rest for the Wicked. To complete my Ozzy collection, in order for me to feel like my Ozzy collection is complete, I'm gonna want to get No More Tears. Obviously, if I could get Osmosis on vinyl, that would be killer. And then, you know, I'd get Black Rain on vinyl just to have it. Even though I'm not a fan of the album. But anyway, you know, like every fucking American kid, Ozzy Osbourne was one of my huge inspirations, and I loved him. And, you know, I passed this stuff down on to my kids, and my kids were sad